Welcome to the Intercut podcast, the weekly show going over the TV, movies, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, he's just been born into the world of Kendall Roy. It's Arturo Zurita.
It might be the opposite, Zach, so don't curse me like that. We still gotta wait for that finale over here. But damn, probably my favorite episode of Succession just aired this past weekend. If you have not caught up on the show, I didn't think it could get any better than what it did last night. I was dumbfounded. Just literally woke up, rewatched the episode again just before we came on this live stream. So not only do we have that, but we also have a buttload of movies. Zach, the movie theaters are back. Dude.
Movies are back. Who would have think?
Crazy. It's crazy how staggering. I thought they were gonna die. They told us that movies were done.
Yeah, everything was going straight to VOD. We were seeing things go to PVOD, whatever that's supposed to mean. Nah.
Yeah.
Things are in theaters to stay. A lot of good movies available only in theaters. Some good stuff available at home too. We'll get into all of those things in a little bit. We'll talk about Belfast. We'll talk about Power of the Dog. We'll talk about Tiny Wu-Tang. Why not talk about Tiny Wu-Tang a little bit? But first, make sure you're subscribed to the Intercut podcast, either the video podcast on youtube.com/intercutpod or the audio podcast available on most podcatchers. Also, follow Intercut on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We are at IntercutPod. That's at IntercutPod, and that's short for podcast. Also, make sure to pledge at least $1 a month. You don't have to do that, but we would appreciate it. You can go to Patreon to support the show for as little as $1 a month. Patreon.com/intercutpod, and then you get to hang out with us on our monthly Google Hangouts. We're going to actually be doing a Google Hangout after this stream, so not too late to head over to patreon.com and get in on the fun. And also be sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Getting a new 5-star review on Intercut makes me happier than when an LCD sound system song is played in the background on Succession. All bangers all the time, wow. Art. All bangers all the time.
He gets pretty happy when that happens, so drop a 5.
We usually start this thing off with what we've been watching, but I actually think it's worth heading over to the internets where I might have just closed the tab I need, but it's okay. We can figure this out. We're going to the Wheel of Names to figure out who is our winner from last week's Minari related giveaway, the early films of Lee Isaac Chung. We did a giveaway, and we asked people to comment their favorite film of the year so far.
Did I win?
I mean, you definitely won. You win just because
I submitted twice.
Involved in this. But yeah, we are giving away, thanks to the people at Film Movement, the early films of Lee Isaac Chung.
Appreciate you. Oh wow, we really do have a wheel.
Yeah, we got the Wheel of Names going, so we're going to do this right now to prove that I'm doing this randomly. Thanks to all of you who left a comment on the last video. And shout out to... Oh, it's close! Kyle Lavery, for leaving his comment on the last video. Kyle wins the early films of Lee Isaac Chung. What a wonderful package. What a wonderful giveaway. What a wonderful day for all of y'all, all of us intercuties. Kyle, hit us up at intercutpod@gmail.com. We'll respond to your comment. If hopefully we can hear from you in the next couple of days and get that DVD set out to you. Yeah, all that stuff is really helpful to us. Anyway, let's get into the way we usually start things out here with a little bit of what we are watching. Arturo, what are you watching? What do you want to start out with?
So many things that are out in theaters right now. So many things that are out on streaming / PVOD. I want to start with a streaming one, if that's cool.
Yeah.
Specifically one that I think you got at the New York Critics Film Festival.
Ooh.
Called Power of the Dog. We were asked a question a while back in terms of what we thought would be one of the best movies, not just the best movies, but one of the best picture nominees / what we think would win so far. And I had said Belfast. Here's my review for Belfast. No. Power of the Dog, however, I believe would be the one that should take it. I was blown away by this movie. This is one that you can stream right now on Netflix at home. I know it made the top 10, but if you can go see it in a theater, damn, go see this in a theater. It is a slow movie. I hate having to say that, but I know for some people, it's just knowing to be patient
Definitely
with
a slow
it.
burn.
I didn't even look, and I feel bad saying that because I don't think it qualifies with the slow burn aspect of it. Like, yes, it's slow, but there are other movies where I feel the need to be like, it's a slow burn, keep with it. The acting in this movie is profound, and the story just it gripped me, even knowing that there was something that I needed to look forward to with the ending. It is based off of a book that was written by, I believe, Thomas Savage. He would then go on to inspire the author who would go and do Brokeback Mountain. She even does the foreword for the book. We went to go pick it up because I know that there's a lot more that's still in the novel that didn't make it into the movie. Some obviously because it was changed, but also because they cut out a lot of scenes that they actually did film. So I don't know how Jane Campion is on director's cut, but if y'all make a Criterion, please add those scenes. It is the story of this rancher played by Benedict Cumberbatch who really wants that Oscar. And you're seeing kind of his internal struggles and what he's going through. And I love the movie because it's a Western, but it's almost like inverted in the sense that there is no gunfight. All of the violence and everything happens like with this man tormenting his brother's wife because they're just trying to live in this farm.
It's more of a mental and emotional violence than it is a physical one.
Exactly. And I absolutely loved it. The way that the characters play off of each other, the rewatchability of this movie when you go back and you notice that there are things from the jump are fantastic. I know we are going to be talking about in the stream, and we even just recorded a video for West Side Story, which I feel just snatched up the cinematography award. But damn, dude, the cinematography here, if you could pull up her name, because I was listening to a whole breakdown on how she did it. She had also worked on Zola. I don't know how you go from Zola to a movie like this, but that is versatility at its finest.
Completely
right here.
Opposite films.
Ari Wegner, that is a name I do not want to forget. Fantastic just the movements here. As a big fan of Westerns, just the way that they were able to do the sweeping shots. We were talking about the blocking in West Side Story. Finally, sweeping shots back in Westerns. Yes, baby. And the way that they're able to hide characters in the shadows, because, again, none of the tormenting that's happening in this movie is even happening face-to-face. A lot of the actors weren't even in the same room with each other. They were, they were all just shot in a way and blocked in a way in this creepy house where you're feeling kind of the torment. Another reason I say watch it in theaters is because sometimes it's the sound that's haunting you. It's like, Benedict is in the room, but not really. You're just hearing his, not just his boots, but the spurs of his boots. I also think Jesse Plemons does a fantastic job in the movie playing the brother who has to take a lot of the load to a degree. But Cody Smith McPhee, when you rewatch the movie,
I told you the boy is
this man's performance.
The boy's an Oscar contender this year. Like a real sneak performance in this one.
Very sneak performance, man. There is an element with him that a lot of people have finished the movie. I think you said it as well, and even myself went back to catch some things where you realize like you need to be paying attention to it. It's not in your face. It's a nice subtlety that happens throughout the movie that again rewards you when you watch it again. And I want to find a screening of this in a theater, dude. I think they absolutely killed this movie. I'm definitely looking forward to it. My only gripes would be I never have been convinced with Benedict's American accent. Yeah. I don't think it sounds Montana-ish. I just don't like what he does in American accent in general. That's just me. The movie also takes place in Montana, but they shot it in New Zealand. Interchangeable, I guess, to a degree with the mountains. But the moment they brought our girl in, bro, Thomasin McKenzie's in the movie.
For a moment?
And they just... Dude, they just said, pretend like you're in New Zealand. And they literally, like, I was just like, wait, why are the two, like, maidservants from New Zealand? There is an interesting aspect of that, I guess you can see when you compare it to the Westerns and the history of New Zealand. But, yeah, those would have been the only gripes that I have for the movie. I cannot wait to finish the book. I'm completely enthralled with this movie. Again, I know it's slower for some, but I think it definitely rewards you if you're paying attention to it and seeing all the little details that are in there. And Henry Bronco this, Henry Bronco that has become a new presence in this house.
The things that film Twitter will turn into a meme are just ridiculous and wide-reaching. Yeah, I mean, you know, we have a few people in the comments. Shouts to Ants who said that they needed to sit with the movie. Vishal saying here, you need to
Sure.
sit with it and let it simmer. And I think yeah, it's definitely a movie that like really does kind of get under your skin a little bit, and when you can really think on the different layers of things happening here, there's quite a bit going on. That's really interesting. I liked a lot of the performances, but yeah, I've been trying to talk around it without spoiling the experience for you. But how about that last couple moments, though? How about that last little bit that that movie leaves you with? Just an
We
absolute,
immediately rewinded it.
an absolute like haunting, shocking, but like moment that where all the puzzle pieces feel like they fall into place.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the best moments of the
Pink
year.
Sweets. Pink Sweets is 100% right. Johnny Greenwood needs to relax.
Man,
He
like
needs
it,
Spencer.
at least like Licorice Pizza has
Yes.
kind of a minimal score because like otherwise
Licorice
you have
Pizza finishes, and I see his name, and Alina and I go like, "What is up with this man? He's about to have that Soderbergh year where
Right.
he lost Best Director to
to
himself."
himself.
Unbelievable stuff.
Unreal.
And akin to Spencer, it's a movie where, be it you're thinking it's a biopic, but it's really a horror. You're thinking it's a western, but it's a psychological terror.
Mm-hmm.
He has hit that wavelength completely, making the whole atmosphere feel creepy. So yeah, on all cylinders, from cinematography to the score to the production design, they built the house, and again, just the acting all around. Fantastic movie. Highly recommend.
I'm having trouble finding the tweet, but I somebody put something really interesting about Benedict Cumberbatch's performance because Benedict is kind of like a weird choice for like a hyper masculine, rugged westerner, like farmhand kind of guy. But I think in a weird way that helps his
Lemons wanted it.
performance here because like so much about what he's doing is kind of like pretending that he is that
Yes.
person, and I think it kind of just makes it that much more like it really sells that latter half of the movie for him so well. He's a guy who when he first kind of started popping up is like, oh, this is an actor to watch. Like
So
I
smart.
liked a lot of stuff that he was doing, early
Yeah.
Sherlock and stuff. He's
Wisecrack.
been sort of like off the path of like performances that I like. He does maybe a little bit too much in some stuff, I think, but this is the kind of performance that I had been hoping to see when I first became aware of him as a performer. So yeah, really good movie. Expect to see a lot more of it in the Oscars discussion, although like for some reason I feel like it hasn't been generating as much hype recently. Like maybe now that it's on Netflix, people can start
Now it's
catching
on
up with it.
Netflix, for sure.
We'll see. Should we get to the one that you weren't as convinced is going to be? Well, I mean, I don't know if you're not convinced it's going to be an Oscar player, but I don't know if you're convinced
Oh,
that
no,
it's worthy of
it's-
that Oscar
look.
contention.
It is an Oscar player. As soon as we finish watching West Side Story, right, and we're coming out of there snapping our fingers out of that movie, Belfast was playing on its final screening that they were going to have it in the theater, and I'm like, you know what? Let me catch it on the big screen. This was a Monday night. I knew damn well that by midnight Belfast is available on VOD, so I could have got it at home. But you know what? If it was going to win Best Picture, or if it was even going to be nominated, I would like the experience of catching it in the theater.
Right.
And you watched it?
Yeah, I saw it over the Thanksgiving weekend with my girlfriend and her parents, so it was a nice little
What did her
family
parents
outing.
think?
They thought it was lovely. They thought it was a really sweet, interesting film about a time and place that they've heard about, and they can put visuals to the story. I personally think that this is probably high on the list for best movies to watch with your parents of 2021.
I agree. I don't want to be negative with it. It's cute. It's just
Yeah.
there are moments in the movie where they're watching movies, and that's my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
They do this really cool thing. I don't even know if it would be a spoiler, considering I think the trailers only show you the black and white aspect of it.
Yeah.
Where you see them enjoying the cinema that would inspire what's his name, Kenneth, because to a degree it is kind of like a mini biopic. Like he is supposed to kind of be the kid. I mean, he's even reading a Thor comic book. And he would go on to direct Thor.
That was pretty silly. But I don't know.
He had
Fun.
Like, that was pretty silly. When the kid starts telling you about the Catholic Church, I was like, Kenneth, this is Kenneth, this is your 55-year-old self putting it in your 5-year-old self what you felt about certain things. It's a cute movie. There's nothing wrong with it. It is the Green Book of this year. I think is what a lot of people compared it. The moment it had won TIFF, because Green Book did the exact same thing for TIFF. I don't really have any negative things to say about it, but those scenes where they're fully invested into the theater or when they're watching TV, I didn't feel that for this movie. But I still thought it was beautifully shot, and it's a cute. It feels weird to call it a cute story, considering some of the ups and downs that happens, but. It was a fine little film, and I agree with you. Catch this film with your grandparents.
Right, like especially like if you have somebody who is kind of interested in history, like maybe it's worth. It's a good movie to watch with them because then you can have these conversations about it. Because like ultimately, this is while it's a nice movie, it is a very simple movie.
Diet JoJo.
Yeah, Ricky Buzz calling it Diet Jojo
bro.
Rabbit here.
Oh.
So some people have made a comparison to Roma because they're both black and white films that are stories about the things that their filmmakers remember from the places they were born, right? But I think the major difference here is that Cuarón, the Cuarón character in Roma is a minor part of that story. And the film is actually about the maid played by Yalitza Aparicio.
And that's what makes that so good.
Right. And it's able to tell a much more complicated version of the story. In Belfast, because the Kenneth Branagh figure is the focus of the film, the result is that it becomes about a kid's understanding of something rather than the thing itself. I saw David Ehrlich, I think on a Letterboxd, said it's a memoir that's told through rose-colored glasses. I actually think that's one of the things that's charming about it, but that is, ultimately what's going to keep it from being like actually a really impactful film, I think, it's just sort of like these sunny memories of his childhood. And as much as I like kind of think it's cool, those moments that you were talking about where he's seeing some things in color, like it also like I'm not sure it belongs in this movie ultimately, it's sweet, but like what is it telling us really? And I don't think there's a whole lot of there as pleasant and decently well crafted as a lot of this is. It's got very charming actors in these roles. There's weirdly now Judi Dench supporting actress buzz, which I don't understand because she's just sitting there.
Yeah, she is, bro.
I think it's ultimately, it could kind of be, like you said, this Green Book of this year because it's like, it's not bad, but I don't think it's
a bad movie.
It sort of pretends it's bigger than it is in its construction. We're getting Belfast is a dumb man's Roma in the comments from Jay. But that's the thing. I think Jay mentions it would be an outrage if it won Best Picture. It's sometimes that happens to these.
I don't hate it. If it wins, I'm gonna flip a table.
That's the thing though about these movies that are just kind of like
traction.
Like if something gets that kind of accolade, you want it to be deserving of it and not just kind of okay.
We'll see, because I have seen it won some of the critic circles. Now that everybody's coming out with their stuff, I have been seeing it snatch up a couple of awards, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. But look, I don't want to hate it. It's just I know there's so many other movies out there that I want to see take the top prize in general. But it's on VOD, so you don't even need to leave your house.
How about House of Gucci? Is that what you want to see take the top prize at the Oscars? We'll talk about this a little bit more next week because I haven't had the chance to catch up with it. But give me your quick breakdown of this one.
House of Gucci is goofy all around. I wanted it to be a goofy masterpiece, though. Yeah, it's House of Goofy, bro. I wanted it to be a goofy masterpiece, but it doesn't go too overboard. Do you know what I mean? It's outrageous. Well, no, I wanted it to be outrageous, but it just barely gets there. But then it's not a good enough film to also like praise it for, I would say, some of the storytelling techniques that he was. Yeah, there's not enough camp, and then there's also not enough of like the, I guess if you want to call it the Oscar bait drama sequencing of it. It really does feel like these actors, in particular, the two, Lady Gaga and Jared Leto, going on screen, going off script, and then just having I believe his name is Jack Houston, the homie Jack Houston.
Yeah.
Is in a scene with Lady Gaga. And I swear I'm looking into this man's eyes, the actor. going like, this was not in the script. What is this girl doing? And we were just cackling at Lady Gaga and Jared Leto clearly making things up. They've already come up that when she did the House of Gucci, father-son House of Gucci thing, that was an ad lib. That entire sequence when that happens clearly is them riffing on each other, seeing who would break first. No way. I'm barely seeing the House of Goofy thing that you put up. Yeah, that's this movie. I don't hate it though. I had fun with it. I just wanted it to be a little better on either end, be it as a drama, be it as a completely over-the-top movie. But there are those elements where you are laughing at what these do with each other. And again, it's still what's his name? He hates us because we're millennials.
Oh, Ridley Scott.
Why am I disrespecting the man back? Now you're really gonna get mad. It is not better than Last Duel. I think I prefer Last Duel, even with the issues that I had there.
Yeah.
But it's still Ridley Scott doing a lot of his interweaving storylines in terms of how the characters set up things in the beginning that you see come back later on. It's still a movie that I do want to rewatch. But performance-wise, I know a big thing has been Lady Gaga being added to the mix of Spencer and Tammy Faye. I don't mind Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
But what she know about Gucci? No, I don't see her taking the spot, but I have seen her win it in some of these award places.
Even
she'd be my number 3. It's still a good performance.
Yeah,
but she's not in my top 2 that I would want to take it. I would still root for Spencer and Tammy Faye.
I hear that. Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on the kind of performance you're going for, because it definitely feels like it's from a different school of acting than what Kristen Stewart's giving you, for sure.
Also, Adam Driver, bro. I don't know where he pulled that accent out of, but I swore he was going to say, "It's a me, Gucci." It was insane.
Top 3 accents in House of Gucci.
Yeah, him, Leto, and obviously Gaga.
Yeah.
Bless the soul of Jeremy Irons. He was making a movie. Jeremy Irons was there making a movie. And then Al Pacino is a mixture between being a clown with these fools over here and then with Jeremy Irons. He really is the heart of the movie. I loved Al Pacino's role in this movie, but I'm also a fan of him in The Irishman, and I know a lot of people hated him in The Irishman. He's got a little bit of that here where he just comes in, he's like, I am here, I'm going to do my thing. But yes, I think for many people this would be a rent it to watch it at home, because it is a long movie, dude. This runtime is 2 hours and change. Yeah. But if you do want to catch it in theaters, I was able to catch it in Dolby. There were some select Dolby showings, and a lot of the needle drops that they had, they worked really well for the whole ambience of the excess that they live in. But it was okay. I wanted it to be a little bit better, but for me personally, I give it a junior price.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I'll catch up with it. I'm curious to talk with you about it once I have actually had the chance to see it, because it seems like such an odd fit for Ridley Scott. I'm a little bit just like still confused why he did this movie.
Because he can take everything.
He seems like he's doing whatever he wants, including like telling off reporters and dissing millennials and dissing the family Gucci.
I haven't seen the reporter one yet, but
another movie that you saw that I haven't caught, that I probably won't catch, is Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Tell me a little bit about this one.
This is a very dark movie, and by that I mean that you don't want to see it on a very crappy screen. This is like that episode of Game of Thrones where everyone said they couldn't see the fight because it was too dark. They go heavy on the contrast with this. They have rebooted the series, so pretty much just taking it back to one. All of the Mila Jovovich ones, they've decided to pause those, which is weird because fans love those movies. Those are still, they never lost money with those. But they decided to pause those. Those would take place in the future. And this is rebooting the series, and it comes from Johannes Roberts. He did 47 Meters Down, which I really enjoy, and I like his style of filmmaking in terms of like the do-it-yourself, self-funding, just doing it as raw as he possibly can. And I know he's a big fan of the game. As we've learned this year, a faithful adaptation isn't always the best adaptation. Cowboy Bebop. He has elements that I think are really cool. I like a lot of the practical and even CG effects that he has in the movie. There are some moments where he's trying to recreate the games where you're like following the characters as if it was a part of the actual video game. but the characters have to be some of the dumbest characters I have ever seen. Sadly, this is supposed to be the reboot for this new franchise in terms of starting up with what caused all the bad stuff, with Umbrella and the zombies going crazy. But bro, I swear to you, every single character in that poster is in a different movie. Kaya truly thinks she's in a Resident Evil horror movie. That cop in the back, bro, he's in a Dumb and Dumber movie. Robbie Amell is in a CW show. The girl who plays the other one that you see in the poster, she barely got any screen time. And then the guy from Umbrella Academy, again, he's like in a Michael Bay movie. The tones were all over the place for me in this movie, but I think there are elements that were done pretty well because he's a fan of the video games to the point that he got all the blueprints to recreate everything. But then you only see like one room of the mansion. You only see one room of the police station. So if you're a fan of it, I think that there will be a lot that you will like because the crowd that I saw it with kept going, ooh, I know that Easter egg. Ooh, that's the song. Ooh, that's the lighter. So, yeah, I thought it was all right. This is definitely one to wait once it comes at home, though, if you're interested in this movie. But it's got an after credit scene. Stick for that because they're hoping to make this a really big reboot in terms of the franchise.
I mean, do you feel like there is a future for it, considering I don't feel like it was received that warmly. I didn't see if it did even well at the box office or.
Yeah, I didn't really check that, but the thing is like Resident Evil fans are avid. They love their movies, and the original series with Mila doesn't really cover the games as much as this guy who sees video games as books, and he's like, we should adapt the stories faithfully. So this covers 1 and 2. He wants to come in and do 3. Resident Evil 4, and then one of the other Resident Evil like spin-offs or something. So to him, he's got a whole plan because he actually wants to adapt the storylines. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm also not a person to take away someone from completing the story arc that they want to go to. And like I said, the after credits really sets it up. So do it. But
all right, let's get
James Wan wanted to do it though. That's what kind of upsets me. James Wan wanted to produce these, and it ended up falling through. That would have been really cool, man.
Yeah, I feel like anytime you can get James Wan on your project, like right now, you should do that if that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, huge 180. Maybe the biggest one we'll make today in a day full of them. Let's get to the latest from Paul Thomas Anderson. I think we want to save a bigger deep dive into this one for next week when we're bringing on a special guest and doing some Paul Thomas Anderson bigger Paul Thomas Anderson talk. He's probably going to be a future topic of a podcast, hint. But let's just get into Licorice Pizza, the latest from, I'm going to go ahead and just say, my favorite filmmaker, Paul Thomas Anderson. What feels like the lightest movie he's done in quite some time, given that he's spent the last few years on movies that have tortured elements in different ways, be it Phantom Thread or The Master. This is a much lighter fare, a coming-age story of sorts set in the San Fernando Valley. You have Alana Haim and Cooper Hoffman both kind of making their movie star debuts in absolutely delightful turns. I thought both of them were really great here. It just absolutely warmed my heart to see shades of Philip Seymour Hoffman in his son, and you just kind of know that if Paul and Phil met when Phil was 16 years old, that Paul would want to make this kind of role for him. I thought he was really great in a way that I wasn't expecting too, because a lot of times with these coming of age stories, you get a very kind of timid kid, especially somebody who's looks like he does. I would expect him to be much more in a timid role, but Paul Thomas Anderson has this gift for dialogue that just kind of is so much fun to see their interactions. That makes him a really great presence on screen. I think it's ultimately though Alana Haim's movie. She's so just draws your attention. She's so radiant in this movie. It's hard to look away from her. There's just this attitude behind her lines that's so genuine. I really, really liked her in this film. It's got kind of a loose story, but I just felt like every scene worked for me. So I don't know. What was your experience with Licorice Pizza?
I didn't think he was that good.
Really?
I thought he was all right. I think he's got the spirit. It's not fair to him. You also had Newark this year, right? Where Gandolfini's kid is playing. him. And now you have, him with the director who was really big with his dad, probably made some of the best movies under Anderson. You're not living under actors. You're living under icons. You're in the shadow of that. I thought he was okay. I didn't think he was terrible. I actually really do like his character and the whole persona that he's got, being this type of businessman. But there is a scene in the beginning where they call out a character for repeating things twice. That was this kid's acting a little bit. I do agree with you with Alana Haim. She was really good in the movie. Coming of age, it sure is, Zach. It is definitely a movie that I know people have been split even coming into it. I don't think that's going to change once it comes out. But it is a fantastic movie in terms of following these two and the ups and downs of what they're going through in the 70s. It's almost like vignette-ish in terms of they'll be starting one business and then, oh yeah, I forgot that actor is super big and he doesn't appear till a segment in the movie way later on. And they're just like weaving through in and out of life. But yeah, we'll have more, I guess, spoiler thoughts once more people get to see the movie. I believe it's got a wide release come Christmas time for most people. Yeah, but I know a lot of places, if you keep an eye out, the Music Box had a special 70 millimeter screening of it, and I know it's playing wide in New York. So I think for the Paul Thomas Anderson fans, it's definitely going to hit all of the marks that you wanted to. It's a hangout movie that he made.
He's kind of moved away. I mean, I don't know if he's ever been a filmmaker who's given you very satisfying conclusions to a lot of his films, but like he sort of has moved away from maybe the more like traditional plot structures in favor of something that it is a little bit like scrappy, is a little bit cobbled together, but kind of for me, while it can feel a little bit strange maybe on a scene to scene basis, for me, I feel like just the ultimate effect of the movie is so like pleasant, and it's what sticks with me. Is all those pleasant moments and not necessarily the up and down, not knowing where the story is going, And then when you end up rewatching the film, you don't have the weird expectations and you just get the pleasures of it. So, I don't think this is in my like top 5 PTA on my first rewatch, but it's one that I can already feel myself growing fondness towards. Just thinking back to some of the needle drops, like the Life on Mars needle drop and the Paul McCartney needle drop are just like ridiculous in this movie. It's just a movie full of things that I would have probably fallen head over heels for had I seen it at 16, So not for me, like the best PTA, as Cademan is asking in the comments here. And I wouldn't even say it's, really fighting for one of my top 5 spots, because I love so many of his movies, but it's also not like bottom tier PTA for me. It feels like right in the middle. Obviously there's a bunch of great performances in this one. Aside from, its leads, was there anybody in particular that stood out to you?
Blanking on the actress's name who plays the casting director.
Yeah, Harriet
Harris. There's no reason she snatched up that role, just ran with it. Unbelievable. I'm not going to say anything else about the performance. Just when she comes in, just steals it.
Mm-hmm.
On the opposite
becomes
spectrum,
her movie for 5 minutes.
It was theft, bro. Literally right in front of. Yeah, just stole the movie. She got because it ends with the credits showing everybody, and she got one of the biggest round of applauses. And someone, one of the other actors in this movie, almost got a boo after the fact. And there is a particular moment in this movie where you have a dude who kind of he runs a restaurant. I'll just put it that way. And my audience laughed at one of the jokes that deals with him running a Japanese restaurant. And then the second time around, the laughter got smaller. And then by the third time he did it, they were like, nope. So when it came to the end credits, everyone was clapping for every single person on screen. He came up, quiet.
Yeah, John
Michael
And then
it's
Higgins.
Followed up by, I'll leave it there, bro, because I'm gonna just leave that there. But when it came down to the other actors, they went back up. So it wasn't that they were tired clapping. They just they did not feel like clapping for that man by the end of it. Tell you that much. But they definitely laughed at his first joke the first time around.
That is a scene that I don't think plays as well in a theater. I think you might understand that scene a little bit better if you don't hear like instinctive applause, not applause, but laughter from people, because that made it uncomfortable to be honest. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a bunch more spoiler stuff that I want to get into it. I
Yeah.
actually do think that as loose as it is, it's not as loose as like, the behind the scenes of what he did for Inherent Vice. I think that it reminded me a lot of kind of like a Dazed and Confused type style where you really are just hanging out with the characters, trying to get like a day in their
Hmm.
lives. Uh, and
Weirdly, I thought of Rushmore because they're such schemers,
fair,
the same way that
yeah.
Max is in that movie.
But no, there's a lot of other elements that he kind of ties in. I think it's I won't say depth, but there's definitely more motivations in the script on how they play out the characters and who they meet when they meet them. Like it
Right.
plays a lot to their relationship. But we'll have a whole
We'll get
spoiler
into it. We'll get
discussion.
into it. All right. Let's go from Let Me Roll It to the Beatles. With the Beatles Get Back, I've seen the first two. You, I think, have seen
Nice.
the first
The
one.
first,
So we're
which
not.
is like three.
Yeah. Which granted is like two plus 2 hours at least for you.
Yeah,
So
it's 2.5 hours.
it's plenty of material, enough that I think we can talk about it. And I want to
Mhm.
talk about it because I think this is one of the most incredible
Fantastic.
pieces of content that we've
Beautiful.
gotten in quite some time. And it's also just amazing to me that we are getting this and The Last Dance in back-to-back years, like the possibly the GOAT team sports athlete and the GOAT band, like just getting these
Yeah.
like huge immersive looks at both of them. It's blows my mind a little bit. And it's interesting also to kind of look at them in comparison to one another, because while I think the documentary filmmaking is a little bit more impressive in The Last Dance because of the way it's all structured, it moves back and forth in time, it's able to use the past to inform the present in this really interesting way. I I feel like just to be a super fan, you get a better experience with a documentary like Get Back because you are just a fly on the wall for these incredible moments, these incredible conversations, the kinds of like privileged backdoor behind the scenes access that you would never imagine existed. Like, how is this footage not already out there? How are people just seeing this stuff now?
It's
How did
crazy.
they think they were going to fit this into a 2 hour movie?
Crazy. Leave it to Peter Jackson, man. I just want to say that the idea of cutting up moments and uploading them on Twitter only because, there's a bunch of Twitter changes that are happening, and I know DMCA is becoming a big thing. I know so many people, myself included, who knew about it and had it on the back burner. But the moment I saw those people sharing those clips about how Paul McCartney just was taking songs out of his back pocket and coming up with them on the spot, that's what got me to watch the first episode immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, it is 9 hours long, split into 3 episodes.
So
That is some of the best marketing that you can do for a series like this.
let me ask you:
Um,
do you think it's too long, too short? Like, what do you think? Right, the right length?
No, I think it's the right length because it's streaming. You can see it as a series. I actually
Yeah.
love the way that you compared it to The Last Dance because no one would say The Last Dance is too long because it's separated between 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But because you split it into 3 episodes at 2.5 hours, it feels like you're watching like a longer form of content. But if you watch BBC back in the day, and not even back in the day, the way they do it now, that's how they released the Sherlock episodes. Each one was about an hour and a half. You only got like 3 to 4 per season. So I don't mind that model at all, especially because it's on streaming. You can
Yeah.
catch it at your own leisure. And I think it would hurt the story because one of the best parts that you have is just seeing the creativity come
Mhm.
from them. You cannot rush that. Just seeing as it unfolds in front of you is majestic, and then just seeing how they play off of each other.
Yeah.
And I was reading some articles about just the dynamics within the band, and you can see it unfold in front of them. How the moment that two get very creative, one of them gets like pushed to the side, and I'm like, I'm excited to finish the other two, and that's because I was a big fan also of Peter Jackson's last documentary. I want to say it was his last
Yeah.
documentary, the They Shall Not Grow Old or Never Grow Old.
Right.
He worked wonders with that one as well. The way he was able to bring back footage from a lot of military vets and literally add motion to pictures. So the fact that he was able to take this footage from the Beatles wherever it was stored and restore it to a degree that it looked crispy, dude. It looked fantastic, and he knocked it out of the park. And I love that the opening literally tells you, this has not been modified in any way. Other than to just set it forward so that you can see the events unfold in real time, the way that they happen. And I think it's the perfect length. You just got to find the time to see it.
Exactly.
They're cutting you 60 hours down a night. They're doing a good job.
Yeah, I'll do respect to Billie Eilish, who we liked her 2.5 hour documentary earlier this year, but this is not Billie Eilish. This is the Beatles. And I think like you can justify this length for a band that has the immense cultural cachet that the Beatles have accrued over these many years, right? Like people are going to invest that time into it, and because it lives on streaming and is divided up, it like gives you the chance to tackle it in parts. It's not like something you have to sit down in a movie theater and watch from start to finish for. I think it also makes it so that like I think the most interesting thing is a lot of people have pointed out how you see them develop the song Get Back from start to finish.
Yep.
It starts just like Paul strumming there, and then it just grows and grows and grows. But the thing that's really cool is they keep going back to Get Back. They keep going back to that song and like, should we try it this way? Maybe the lyrics are a little more like this. No, you know what? Let's strip it back down. And like seeing how their mind keeps changing is the best part of this documentary.
Yep, you can't rush that.
Yeah. You can't rush stuff like that. So
you cannot stop the creative process, Zach.
I think this one is incredible. I'm really excited to finish it. Curious if people have been checking it out. I'm not trying to sound like some Beatles guy. I'm not like a crazy Beatles fan or anything like this, but it is pretty incredible. It's the greatest doc of all time. Yeah.
Dude, I didn't know as I was like looking it up, on John Lennon, and obviously the assassination and stuff, that there was a Sundance movie called Chapter 27.
That's the one that Jared Leto gained all that weight for, right?
Starring Jared Leto
and Lindsay Lohan,
sympathizing and playing the man who, and Lindsay Lohan on the assassination of him. What? We'll see, bro.
All right, got one more thing in the what we're watching here, because Stephen Sondheim unfortunately passed away a couple of weeks ago now. And I was just trying to do kind of some dives into his different works and just appreciate all that he's contributed. I'm not the most qualified person to make some kind of comprehensive statement on all that he's contributed to American theater, but suffice to say, like, he's one of the titans. And I knew that like Company is one of those big those highly referenced pieces of musical theater that I've never actually really immersed myself in. I've never seen the show. I've heard some of the songs. Obviously, like, it played a bit of a role in Marriage Story, if you were a fan of Marriage Story a couple of years back. So I decided to actually go back and check out on it's available on both Criterion Channel and actually on YouTube if you want to just search for it. Original cast album Company, the D.A. Pennebaker documentary, which records the behind the scenes of the recording of the cast album for Company, but has this like beautiful look at just the process and the all night session that they had in trying to get these incredible songs out of these performers. I think D.A. Pennebaker does this really interesting thing in that he like gets so up close to some of the action that you can see like the sweat and the strain in the singers' faces as they like try to hit all these really complex songs in perfect ways. There's some songs that feel just like tongue twisters, and there's this incredible stretch where Elaine Stritch is trying to get her voice to sing her big song, but it's like 4 a.m. and she's tired. Really incredible. I can't imagine caring. If you care immensely about musical theater, I feel like this would be catnip to you. It also was very hilariously parodied on Documentary Now with John Mulaney. So if you need an excuse to get into it, there's another avenue in for it. But yeah, I mean, it's an incredible musical, man. And I think they're doing a gender-swapped revival of it on Broadway. Yeah. So now
I got to go visit you.
Come back out here and we'll go see it, because I really want to grab some tickets.
Nice. Yeah, I know Andres, when he actually came over when Marriage Story was out. And I know Company was really big to him, so when he came back home from watching it at the Music Box, he's actually the one who scored me wherever, I think it's up there, my little Marriage Story thing. He's the one who scored me that at the Music Box. He came back and he's like, they sing Company, and that is my favorite. This movie was made for me. So yeah. He's spoken high things about Company, so seeing that it's on Broadway, I don't want to miss that. And I don't know if they'll go on touring, but I've heard it's really good, and Sondheim gave it its blessing when he was able to catch it in London before he passed.
Mm-hmm. Also, speaking of Sondheim, we both caught West Side Story. I have my review up on Letterboxd if you want to see some more of my thoughts on it. We recorded 20-minute review about that we'll get out on the channel later this week. So make sure you stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed and whatever. Just to give quick thoughts here for the people who've tuned in for the live stream. Where were you when Steven Spielberg brought blocking back to movie musicals? Oh my God, it looks incredible. Yeah, I mean, the story is still the story, but this man knows how to shoot a big, beautiful set piece. No?
Unbelievably so. I know a lot of comparisons were being done with the other movie musicals of the year, primarily In the Heights, which, as much as I love, as we mentioned, there is just no denying that dancing is so much better when you can see their feet. Yeah. And he just absolutely kills it. You know, in terms of the original, the story is still the same. I'm not the biggest fan of the story. Obviously, we know it's an adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, but whereas the older movie has the choreography down, I don't think anything can ever compete with that. This new one just visually ups the ante in ways that are just fantastic. Zach's talking about the blocking. They'll use items that have been in the scene the entire time, and then all of a sudden it'll be a part of the move, and just absolutely fantastic. It is 2.5 hours, so I know that that's going to be a pretty hefty amount of time to spend in the movie theater, but I think that it definitely benefits, if you're interested in this movie in any way, shape, or form, to catch it in Dolby, because the recordings of the music, incredible. And one of the performances that I'm really rooting for, as I truly believe is the best supporting of the year, for Ariana DeBose. Killed it. Absolutely fantastic performance. Absolutely. Stand out for me. I know, Zach, you were also talking good things about Mike
Feist. Yeah, both of them. Excellent performance.
And he's from Dear Evan Hansen. That's what I forgot to say in our recording as well. He actually did the original run for Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
Yeah, he's got some musical theater in his background too.
All right. Shouts to Cademan in the live stream who brought up, have you caught up with the new episodes of How To with John Wilson? I know this is one of your favorites, Art.
That was going to be my recommended for the week.
Okay, we'll get there. So why don't we move on to some Succession talk? I think if we got a little bit of time here to just get into it, because
sure.
we're running a little short, just talking about all the different awesome stuff that's come out. But Succession, hard to get into this week's episode without just going head first into spoilers. I want to back it up a little bit, because I also thought that episode 7 was one of the most incredible episodes of Succession that we've had so far. I mean, this whole back half season run is turning into like just one of the all-time runs on TV, I gotta say. So yeah, I mean, let's start it off with a little bit of 307 talk. It was Too Much Birthday. Ken threw his ready to die party. He's going all in here. He's going full nut. Where do I have my notes? He also built himself a stage and refused to take it with his whole Billy Joel sequence, which would have been iconic, but even just the thought of it is pretty crazy.
Just the thought of it was enough.
Yeah. This one was really 307 was an episode where sibling rivalries really took center stage, as well as romantic entanglements. Logan, Jerry, and the Waystar Royco lackeys mostly sat out. I think what we've really seen recently is Roman's ascent, though, because if season 1 was sort of about Kendall trying to claim the throne, and season 2 was about Shiv sort of trying to prove that she's worth it, season 3 has become Roman's season. When his dad is ready to ruin the whole Gojo deal with Lucas Matson playing hard to get, it's Roman the one who figures out to talk to them at the birthday party and then reels him in. I think you could say that Roman has kind of been like the power player of this season of Succession up until maybe this week's episode.
Zach, this week's episode was not just one of the best episodes from Succession. If we were making our list, which we're about to, we're a couple of weeks out, this thing would probably be in my top 10 of things watched. A banger of an episode. I don't even know where to start. It's almost like literally all I can say is go watch the series if you have not. It is all on HBO. We're about one episode left from wrapping up season 3.
Yeah.
We are definitely going to do an entire after credits spoiler talk for this that we will be recording soon. But for those who are streaming, we don't want to spoil it for you. This takes every character and amplifies everything you've already known and what you didn't know, and explains why they are who they are. At first, you're just enjoying the episode for what it is. They're at a marriage. They're getting ready for their mom's wedding. And there's a conversation that happens with Shiv, and you're like, whoa, that was an outstanding talk. And they're like, well, what if we follow that up with the conversation between Papa Logan and Kendall? And I'm like, okay, so that just happened. Mind you, I had just seen on Sunday a free screening at IMAX for Denzel.
Oh, what's that movie called?
Tragedy of Macbeth. Then I come home and I continue eating this beautiful dialogue that is served up to me between this moment on Kendall and his dad. And I was just like, it cannot get any better. And then Shiv goes and does what she does after the fact. And I'm like, every single sibling has had a moment here. I wonder what they're going to do with Roman.
Oh, man. I mean, that might have been the hardest I've cringed at my TV in so long.
There are 3 shots in that reaction that happen in that scene that
whole
are
sequence
all-timers.
is beautiful.
Beautiful.
You know, shout out to Kieran Culkin, who he is such a gifted physical performer. The way that his body, just like you can read his body language and how he's feeling through his posture and his face is incredible. I think I pointed out on a previous Intercut when they're trying to get him to sign the letter and he heels over like he's gonna throw up. Like this dude. In 307, there's another moment of that where Mattson brings up the idea of his dad dying, and he's so uncomfortable he has to take his jacket off. You know, like it's hilarious. He's so good on the show.
He's so good, dude. But yeah, overall, I'm feeling for Kendall. Shiv has completely become a monster like her father. It is insane. Tom still continues to surprise me as I would have never seen that coming. My favorite character in season 3. Greg is cringier than ever, and Mathis. Who plays Mathis? Why am I blanking on his name? He's going to be a pop player, dude. He is delivering everything that I wanted him to deliver.
Mattson, Alexander Skarsgård. Yeah.
He's so good.
Dude,
he's so good.
He's
exactly what I wanted him to be in this.
He's come in and been amazing on the show. You know, I think they've tried and bring in a couple different people, and he has this like really specific energy where he's kind of like, he almost like, you notice how he doesn't want to make eye contact with anybody? He's like got this social awkwardness, but also this confidence. Yeah. Yeah.
He's great. He's exactly, when I heard that he was going to be in this season, I was very hyped for whatever he was going to play, and he has delivered. And I feel we've only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Because they're about to be married to this man in terms of business. So I can't wait.
The look on his face when he said, or the delivery of when he says, even the look on my face is commercially sensitive. So funny. So funny.
Hey, I know people have thought that there have been ups and downs for this season, but this season has, we have one more episode left. It has wrapped up as being one of the ones I cannot wait to go back and rewatch as a whole, because there have just been some fantastic moments that end up connecting, even on the slower episodes when people are like, oh, it's just all talky. No, those episodes we took for granted when they were talking, because now it's just everyone going for their throats. Yeah. I loved it. Again, one of the best episodes of Succession and one of my favorite hours. Forget television, just of watching something in general of this past year. Absolutely loved it.
The whole like sex Vegas and pool incident and text to daddy, I think has overshadowed what was a really interesting thing last week when we got like a bit of a culmination in some of the brewing romance, should we call it, between Tom and Greg. I think people have been joking a lot about these kind of like sort of romantic feelings between them, but they like put it front and center in episode 307. That whole interaction when Tom describes how he is at sex and Greg says to improve it.
I can see it there. I've always seen it between them two, but right now I'm seeing it way too much in Mattson and Roman. To me, that's where that is. It's almost like a office relationship that they have, but they're so big in terms of the roles that they serve for each other's companies that it's on a whole other level. But I just love those two. I mean, again, at this point, it's the only time I feel sorry for Greg, because when Greg is on his own, he really is batting out of his league. Poor guy.
All right, it's getting a little bit late, and it's hard to talk about this without getting into spoilers, but we'll do a full spoilers dive after the finale. We're sure there's going to be big things to talk about. I mean, there's already some big things looming. But let's get into our final bit here before we wrap it up and head to our hangout with the new to see, where we talk about what's new in theaters, on VOD, and all the sort of streaming services. Art, why don't you kick us off with a film that we caught back at South by Southwest, or actually you caught it. I didn't get to catch it.
Back at South by Southwest, there was a bunch of COVID movies, and I think that we've gone to the point where we have so much of them that we just get tired of them automatically. This was one that I know a lot of people didn't like, but I would go up to bat for it. It does take place right at the beginning of COVID, and it's pretty much this couple that have broken up. They also work from home, though, so that was never really going to change regardless of, the whole switch up. But they now have to quarantine together, broken up, and it's what they have to deal with. And I personally really like the performances from these two. They are a couple that definitely should not be together, but it serves as sort of like a relationship drama, but also a comedy. That's pretty much all I'll say about it. I think it's in VOD now. Probably wait till it's on streaming. Even though I personally would give it a rent it, because I really enjoyed the dynamic between the two characters, and I think is one of the funnier COVID movies, I guess, that we've gone. There was several COVID movies just out of South by alone, not to mention all of the other festivals that we've gone to. But I thought this was a pretty good one, and I'd give it the recommendation.
Cool. A whole bunch of other things that are hitting theaters this weekend and over the course of this week. A lot of cool stuff. Voir, which we'll probably talk about on next week's show, just popped up on Netflix this week.
Shout out Tony.
Wolf that we didn't get to earlier. One thing that I know we're both curious about, but I don't think either of us has had the chance to see, is Benedetta, the new one from Paul Verhoeven, the lesbian nuns movie, as a lot of people are talking about it. I'm curious about this one just because Paul Verhoeven, I think, is one of our few film provocateurs out there. And
yes, he is.
I mean, they're people. I don't know if they're really protesting or if they're like hired protesters as a publicity stunt, but there are protesters showing up at some of these screenings.
Yep, they were outside the Music Box. I know they were outside of New York this past week. Yeah, I'm looking forward to catching this one. I believe it's in French as well, so 2.5 hours. I'm hoping to... I was going to be near an Alamo Draft House, and I was hoping to catch this with a meal, but I saw the trailer. I'm like, maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one is definitely on my radar.
Another one that is out, I think, on VOD now is Silent Night. This one, I think, premiered back at TIFF or something like that. It is kind of like a holidays movie, but given sort of like a dark treatment because there's this threat, existential threat there, impending doom. And I don't know, for me, I just feel like it never really hit the right tone. It was just kind of like in some spaces dark for darkness sake, and in others just like breezy in a way that didn't feel authentic to the characters. It just never quite hit the right tone for me, and the ending was much better when Frank Darabont did it, like 2007,
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that was a way of spoiling it without spoiling it.
Without spoiling it.
Yeah. What else have we got available? I think one of our first picks of the week is Flea, finally available to see in theaters. We have been hyping this one up since Sundance. It is a really great documentary that I need to revisit because I was kind of distracted. I was distracted by like some of the animation stuff, but the story has really stuck with me. I'm going to raise my rating of it. It's a really beautifully told story and does this really interesting thing of combining the animation to kind of make certain sequences come to life more. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a front runner for the best documentary Oscar, maybe even the best foreign film Oscar. Yeah, you are hoping it wins?
Doc, foreign film is stacked right now.
Foreign film is
There's
really
way
stacked.
too many for it. But I do. It would be really nice to see it snatch a nomination because I think it deserves a nomination as well. Yeah. But definitely Doc.
I don't know why I had it all the way there. I like that movie a lot out of Sundance. I'm going to bump that one up a little bit.
Pretty good. But yeah, I think this opened up in theaters, so definitely catch it in theaters, and hopefully, because it's neon, it gets a VOD type release soon.
Yeah. Another one that is open in theaters now is one of my favorites of the year. I'm not sure we share that assessment, though. Red Rocket, the latest from Sean Baker, a really interesting film about a down and out porn star going back home, and basically about like the worst guy you know and how he's able to charm his way through.
This is the worst person in the world. This is the worst.
That would have been a much better title for this movie.
Not for the other movie, yes.
I found it to be really true in some aspects and really just hilariously depraved in others. So I enjoyed my experience with it, but you...
I feel we agree. Everything you're saying, I agree with you with. It's just so out of pocket, man. It's
maybe you just don't like that experience as much as I do.
Look, there are a lot of elements in this movie that I could definitely say stand out a lot. You know, Sean Baker's never one to not get uncomfortable, and Simon Rex really does kill. Look, I can't be unbiased to the fact that, you know, he killed his performance. He knocked it out of the park. They do some crazy stuff, man. Very uncomfortable movie at points, but hey, Red Rocket is out. I believe playing in theaters in most cities, and I think he's going to be serving up one of the nominations for Best Actor of the Year.
I'd be really excited to see that. I mean, he's
got
such a low profile that it might be strange to have him, you know, next to Will Smith there. But, you know, for sure he's going to get it at the Indie Spirits and stuff like that. I would be really happy if he gets into the Oscars talk too. We mentioned Flea, another documentary that is probably going to be in the running for the Oscars this year is The Rescue, the latest from Elizabeth Chai and Jimmy Chin, who previously brought us Free Solo, which is one of the best documentaries of the last few years. I think this one has some similar elements in terms of how it's able to kind of be an edge-of-your-seat thriller / documentary. They've mastered that ability in their films. Although this one, I think the big difference is that, you know, they're mostly dealing with, like, archival footage and collected footage. It's not stuff that they're out there shooting themselves. And part of what made Free Solo so special is that they were out there shooting that stuff, like getting into those risky situations.
And in IMAX, that was a great experience.
I just think that that's one of the big differences here. That while this is a really interesting story, it is a little bit more of a typical documentary. That said, it is like one of the most incredible human achievements, just this story. So I was gripped by this one. It's a big recommended from me, even if it's not necessarily like as I don't think it should be like a front runner for the best documentary this year.
It's so solid, and it's on Disney Plus. That's crazy. So you can watch it at home. Because I got so claustrophobic with this movie, I literally there's one element where I got nauseous when they were doing a dive. Yeah. Which, one, very effective in its editing. Right. And two, you can watch it at home. So if you need to barf, you're not doing that in theaters. You're not doing it into your mask.
Exactly.
Another solid entry from them.
Another film from Sundance that we loved, another documentary, Try Harder, finally hits theaters over the past weekend, I think. Really, really great look at the college application process from the perspective of students at this one school in California. You know, we've seen a few different of these.
Yeah,
what is
trilogy?
What is the college process doing to our kids documentaries? And I think we both agree that this is maybe the best one of them.
This is my favorite so far. Between this and then there's Accepted, I want to say it was called, that we saw out of TIFF or South by. Then there was another one from Sundance as well that I am blanking on at the moment, but I know it's available on Hulu right now, dealing with kids from Oakland. Homeroom, I believe. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, no, there's been this trifecta of these like students and the different obstacles that they have to face. And this one was just fantastic. Just seeing the little stories from each of the characters' perspective, not even characters, real life students, and what they have to do to be able to get into these schools. And it's crazy because I know this is the high school version of that. We also had seen one that we covered from a doc competition about them in elementary before they even make it to middle school.
Chasing Childhood, that was another good one, yeah.
Chasing Childhood. So, I mean, you could watch all of these. And if you're going to become a parent, you know, just watch them back to back so you know what you're going to get into.
Each stage of life.
Your kid to go down this path. Each stage of life, literally.
Yes, no, highly recommend Chasing Childhood. That one's also available on VOD. And I will pull up Accepted here just to be thorough, you know, let people know. Because these documentaries, they can use your love. These aren't the big blockbusters that are showing up in every movie theater.
Yep.
Is this the one that we saw?
And then Homeroom. Yeah, don't put the one
Yeah.
about them trying to get into the school with Justin Long or whatever that movie
Yeah,
was.
exactly, right?
Completely
Different
different.
accepted.
Yeah, no. This one right here, this is also very interesting. Completely different demographic trying to get into high school or college. And then also Homeroom, which is streaming on Hulu. That one I also enjoyed about the students in Oakland and what they're going through in terms of the way that they run the schools over there. So just a
Yeah.
lot of fantastic documentaries that premiered at a bunch of these festivals playing now, and many of which I'm sure are going to get a bunch of be it the smaller award nominations for critic circles in terms of docs, but I'm hoping one of these maybe edges it out and even is able to score the big one. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed all of these. Definitely put these on your radar.
Hulu has Homeroom also, so that's another one that should be pretty easy for some people to watch.
Oh,
Uh, let's go with two quick TV suggestions here because Pen 15 is back for the second part of its second
I know.
season, and what they kind of sneak revealed is its final stream of episodes. I
That's great.
was not expecting the show to end so quickly, but I think it's been like just a joy to have around, and I'm glad that it also introduced me to Maya and Anna as these really gifted comedic performers. Maya in particular, I think, is going to have a huge career in comedies, but I really have enjoyed Pen 15. I think it's a really precise show. It has a very specific point of view that resonates with me as somebody who's maybe close to their age. I just like the show a lot. I'm definitely going to miss it. And shouts out to my boy Michael, who I think had the co-editing credit on the finale. So, yeah.
Hey, nice, solid show. I think they're moving on to bigger things. That's one of the best things you can hope for when a show ends.
But elsewhere on TV, The Boy is back. How to with John Wilson.
With a bang.
An unreal first two episodes. He's raised his game, I think, so far already in these first two episodes, with the real estate episode and the wine episode. The wine episode, incredible. I don't want to spoil the celebrity that shows up, but it is just one of the craziest pulls in a show that has a bunch of crazy pulls.
I'm gonna show up to places and just say I'm with HBO. I think I have an HBO South by Southwest. Is that all you gotta do? Because honestly, I think I see the one. Well, that's Showtime. Okay, we're part of Showtime.
Yeah.
That's sometimes all you need. So, unreal, dude. And my thing is, they leave it open. He kind of did that with the real estate episode, but now it very much seems like in episode 4 or 5, this may be a storyline that comes back.
Right.
So
it's almost like building a world, because the real estate episode also sort of comes back to the landlord thing, and
exactly.
I also love I want to go back to the first season and see if I'm correct, but I think he's kind of deployed like a really subtle wow, like every now and then this year that is just so perfectly timed and undermining what's ever on screen. It's such a special show for so many reasons, and if you haven't gotten on board with How to with John Wilson, like you have to.
You're so favorite.
It's so good. I think that's about all for our picks for the week, though.
Yup. That's pretty much all that we have. Reminder to get your Matrix, Resurrections tickets. They are on sale. I know someone had asked us the question about it not playing on Tuesdays. I don't think that's a Spider-Man thing. Maybe you'll be limited on what the screenings will be, but it is an HBO thing. That's one of the things that's very upsetting. HBO refuses to get the opening night one, so you got to see it at 12. And look, my theater that I was going to go to already sold out. So if you're going to get tickets, score some up. They have revealed that it is going to have a 1:9 aspect ratio, so watch it in IMAX if you can. I am so excited for it. Tomorrow there's also they're doing the Matrix reissue where they've reformatted the original to fit IMAX. So a Spider-Man, Matrix, they got the Kingsman ones coming out. You got it's way too much stuff. Sing 2, Zach.
Yeah, we are going to be especially Sing 2.
Full throttle.
We are going to be at the movies a lot. I'm going to go see Don't Look Up tonight. I know you're going to go see West Side Story, I think, tonight.
West Side Story, because they got a special Q&A. Maybe some of y'all can snatch some up. They have a special Q&A in IMAX. Again, I saw it in Dolby. I'm curious to see what different things they do for IMAX with a special Q&A with Spielberg and then supposedly the entire cast. So, bunch of screeners coming up. We got that Spider-Man early screener, too. So, yeah. It's going to be very exciting, dude.
A lot of really exciting stuff to talk about as we get closer and closer to the end of the year. And that doesn't even mention that we're going to do our best of the year at some point. At some point, we got to bring on Amanda and run through what the best 2021 has had to offer. So a lot of fun stuff left to talk about, but that's all for this week's show. And a reminder that if you head over to the Patreon, become a member for as little as $1, you can catch us on the Google Hangout after this. But catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd at ZShevich. That's Z-S-H-E-V as in Sex Vegas, I-C-H. Art, where can people find more from you?
You can find me at LME over on YouTube, over on Twitter, over on Letterboxd, and every week here on the Intercut Podcast.
You can listen to every episode of the Intercut Podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcatcher is. I like Overcast. And then make sure you're subscribed not just to the audio podcast, but to the video feed as well on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/IntercutPod, where you can watch our bright smiling faces as we run through the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of Intercut every Monday. And please leave a comment, like the videos, and consider heading over to iTunes to give us that much requested 5-star review. Shout out to our listeners in Belgium and Indonesia for putting us on the TV and film podcast charts out there. Also, shout out to those of you who've been so kind as to send your Spotify Wraps or whatever it is to that when you've had Intercut on it. That's so cool to see when we show up on people's Spotify Wraps. Apparently, we had our first listeners in Nicaragua this year, so shouts to all of you there. It's always cool
Take that, Kanye.
Always cool to hear from the people, the intercuties out there listening to the stuff. Make sure you like our Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. All of them are at Intercut Pod to get updates throughout the week from me, from Art, from all the guests that we feature here on Intercut. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, took the wrong drugs in the wrong order, and now I can't get happy. Succession, it's just full of so many good quotes to choose from.